Well, good morning, everybody, as I trip over a giant monitor. Welcome to Thursday. Must be a Monday. Thanks so much for being here with us. WAFB 9 News now on, of course, WAFB Plus. Kind of stepping you through what's going on today, looking ahead towards a busy Thursday, into Friday, the weekend, that kind of thing. And yes, you're not imagining things. The best part about this, Liz Coe, is not here this morning. It's because she's actually one of the busiest people in the building, and she's doing actually a whole bunch of other stuff. But she will return, I promise, so please bear with me. I'll step you through it, I promise. Obviously, we know what yesterday brought to a lot of friends and family in the Deep South. That storm system that blew through here. A lot of us in Louisiana, we were able to kind of get by with just some wind here, some rain there. But I tell you what, it is, for a lot of folks, the headline maker. That storm that blew through here. Hit the 9 News app and WAFB.com. You can kind of see what this storm left in its path. Still one of the top stories up there right now. But if you take a look, for instance, how do we gauge what a storm does to us? Well, you can get out there and look at the damage. Power outages, always a great way. PowerOutage.us kind of tracks the major suppliers of power, that kind of thing. And well, you can see right now where the issue is. Alabama still dealing with a big part of this. If you click on Louisiana, I was looking at this about an hour ago, and the one spot in Louisiana that was still dealing with a little bit of this, Tangipahoa Parish. And you can click on Tangi, and they are right now, Entergy customers, about 800 customers without power in Tangi after yesterday's storm. About an hour ago, that was over 2,000 customers. So the crews are out there. They are making it happen. But as far as that weather system, there you see it. That's where it is right now. All of that blew through our part of the world, it's moving on to the east right now. Steve Caprata talked a little bit about that this morning, that this system is not done with the United States. It is still moving through. It's done with us, which is great, but you can just see part of what was still lingering out there, our friends and family to the east of us. A little bit more on your forecast here in a quick minute, but it's kind of where we are. All that cleanup waiting for you at WAFB.com as well. One of the top stories you'll see on WAFB.com and the 9 News app, Governor John Bel Edwards set to speak today. Now, we talked this morning. Originally, his news conference was going to be at 2 o'clock. They've moved that. It's 2:30. And so the governor is going to be talking about where we are right now in our response to COVID-19, possibly talking a little bit, obviously, about the response, any kind of damage, any issues Louisiana had after that line of storms passed by yesterday. Here's the thing. We are not going to be covering this one live for you on WAFB. We will be doing it right here, WAFB Plus. Anywhere you have the 9 News app, you'll be able to stream that. All those smart devices, we will still get that to you that way. And if the only way you have to get that information is through broadcast TV, right? That's the only way? Well, don't worry. I promise we are going to take the big takeaways from that press briefing, give those to you later editions of 9 News. But again, the governor's set to speak 2:30 this afternoon. We'll make sure to let you know what he has to say. Again, a lot of it going to be COVID-19 related. Want to remind you that if you go to WAFB.com or the 9 News app, click over maybe on the hamburger, little hamburger icon, that kind of thing. COVID-19 has its own section. It has for a very long time. It will for a very long time. Obviously, we've got a long ways to go. And inside COVID-19, that section, the one-stop shop, there's going to be the governor's press conference right there. That one-stop shop, great resource to find where you can get tested, where you can get the COVID vaccine as well. There's actually some vaccine clinics popping up this weekend. All that's going to be right here in this section. And we've mentioned this a number of times, and I want to make sure that you are aware as well. Even if you don't come here to WAFB.com, which we try to put everything there for you, even if you don't come here, we just want to make sure you have all the information you need to make sure that you and your family are getting what you need. And when it comes to vaccines, this is a good spot, but also want to let you know about vaccinefinder.org. And again, we've put this website into a number of stories that you can find at WAFB.com, but this is simplicity at its finest. Again, vaccinefinder.org. All you got to do is punch on it, click your address, and they're going to give you, within however the radius you set up, maybe 5 miles, within that radius, they're going to give you a list of providers that have vaccines. Not only that, you can get phone numbers, so you can call and see, do I need any kind of reservation here? Do you actually still have the vaccine? What vaccine is it? Vaccinefinder.org. a great resource to have. Again, we have that in a number of stories at WAFB.com. Just however you get what you need, certainly when it comes to COVID and the vaccine, please find a way, and that's one of the great ways. The lead story, one of the top stories, just because it's kind of evolving right now. Former LSU President F. King Alexander releasing a statement following the Title IX report. Okay, so we know what's been happening. F. King has, as this kind of began to evolve in a board meeting with trustees at Oregon State University, where he is now the president, in attempting to defend his job there and what he did at LSU, mentioned that LSU was a severely underfunded university, and mentioned many ways that the athletic department liked to try and run the show. Okay, well, that steered people a long ways from Oregon State back here in Baton Rouge in Louisiana, and LSU kind of steered them the wrong way. Is LSU underfunded? Is the LSU athletic department trying to run the show? I don't know. I'm not a fly on that wall. But here's what I do know. He talked about, F. King did, lawmakers saying, you guys need to figure out a way to balance these books, cut these funds. And so he was talking about possibly losing potential entire colleges there, College of Engineering. That you don't have to be a fly on the wall for. That you know is probably reality from lawmakers down at the Capitol, the big pointy building down the way, because as you know, if you follow the legislative sessions here for the last 15 to 20 years, you know very well there's only a couple things that are not constitutionally protected. Our healthcare system here and higher education. So, over the last number of legislative sessions, certainly the fiscal sessions, when we needed to balance the books, healthcare and higher ed got guillotined. Certainly for a number of years, absolutely guillotined. And so when he says lawmakers said, you got to find a way to cut the money, that's absolutely what was going on. What other conversations were happening inside LSU, how to do that, that's the fly on the wall that you can't be. But you know absolutely that conversation was happening from lawmakers. Cut it, because we can't go anywhere else to find our money. It's healthcare or higher ed. Go figure. Two of the things you really need the most around here. So here's what else happened today with him. He released a 2-minute video statement. I'm going to call this up for you here in a minute. A 2-minute video statement where he talked for the most part to the folks at Oregon State University, where again he is the president right now. I want to call this up for you so you can kind of give a listen. This is, if you go over to WAFB.com, again, one of the top stories, you'll see it right here. Just kind of scroll down a little bit and you'll see an opportunity right here to watch the video. So I'm going to click on this and let you listen. Again, it's just about 2 minutes. I'm going to let you listen to what F. King Alexander, former president of LSU, had to say to the folks there at Oregon State. Have a listen.
I know these past 2 weeks have been trying for all members of the OSU community. I hear and feel your hurt and your anger. I hear and acknowledge you feel that I betrayed you as your university president. I do take your words to heart. Let me be clear. Sexual violence and violence in all of its forms is antithetical to the university's values and to Oregon State University's values. We do not tolerate it and will not tolerate it. I understand that the power of my position requires more from me to do everything I can to ensure the university is free from sexual violence and violence in all forms. I know that there was more I could have done at LSU given the power of my office and the expectation of community members. As university president, I should have sought every opportunity to hold others accountable. I stand with and support survivors of all forms of sexual violence and affirm the work of our advocates. As your president, I assure you I will work to rebuild trust, listen and learn, work alongside you to address the challenges and opportunities before us. To survivors, I am sorry. I'm sorry for the harm you endured as the result of sexual violence and for the pain brought back to the surface over the past 2 weeks. I will prove my commitment with action. I'm immediately launching a review of Oregon State University's survivor support programs. Number 2 is I will and we will evaluate levels of staffing and funding for existing programs, resources, and services. We will also work to ensure that a range of resources are available, including confidential support services and resources. And in the days ahead, I will further articulate my plan and share my vision for how we can move forward as a university community, and for me to regain your trust. Oregon State is one of the nation's greatest public land grant universities. We can do better. I can do better.
So there you go. That is F. King. Let me get back over here. Don't worry, I'll get there. All right, so that is F. King Alexander, former president of LSU, current president at Oregon State University. Obviously talking about the sexual assault allegations here at LSU while he was president. Oregon State University, the Board of Trustees, suspending him, putting him on probation for a time. What will happen now there? What happens here now at LSU? You've already seen some changes happening. Again, one of the lead stories, you can kind of find the very latest right there at WAFB.com and the 9 News app. We will obviously continue to follow this for you. Okay, I tell you what, that's a lot, right? That's pretty heady. Do you mind smiling for a quick minute? How about this? We got a chance to do a little bit of that this morning. Our Kelly Hubbard got to go out this morning and wake up an entire neighborhood. Live music has all but disappeared during COVID-19, right? You just can't, and we knew that. But now, phase 3 of reopening, it's beginning to come back. So our Kelly Hubbard went out with and got to talk with and got to see some local musicians who are starting to get back out there. She was with the Florida Street Blowhards a little earlier this morning. Just one of the many great groups out there. And if you check out her story right here, you get to see a little bit more about what they're doing, what others are doing, all the places that are just going to be coming back alive. And yeah, well, there's that idiot in the suit right there. Pay no attention to him. These are the ones you want to focus on. The actual artists, those who with actual skill. And they are going to be coming back to some stages near us, which is going to be a lot of fun. Again, Callie's story waiting for you. It's one of the top ones you'll see at WAFB.com. Also wanted to mention this because this is a big deal. When we talk about getting back to things we like, LSU with some big stuff coming up here this weekend. Certainly we'll talk about basketball a little bit more, NCAA tournament. But baseball at the box, right? Big SEC season opener this weekend. And you get to do a little bit more tailgating. One of the stories you'll see out there when you open up the sports section is LSU is adjusting now their tailgating for spring outdoor events. We're not quite sure what fall is going to look like yet, but as they are in phase 3 of reopening as well, they are now allowing a little bit more limited tailgating. So you'll find this in the sports section at WAFB.com. It kind of steps you through some of the things that are allowed, some of the things they kind of want you to steer away from as well. But it's nice to see as we kind of make those steps forward. Speaking of stepping forward, deep breath. Deep breath, boys and girls and everybody else out there. Our Friday Eve looks a lot better than our hump day did. Everything yesterday was just kind of getting ready for whatever might be coming our way. Well, it's coming our way now. The forecast from Dr. Steve this morning, it's going to be kind of a cooler start to our days, the next few, but there's nothing out there severe-wise to get in our way. You can actually look at the 53 right now, and it's going to warm up a little bit. You get into the low 60s, that kind of thing. You can step ahead. You can look at 3 days. You can look at the 10-day. You can do exactly what we all want to do. You can hit the weekend, figure out what's going, not the artist, not the singer, because he may hit back. The weekend forecast with Dr. Steve, laying it out for you, everything you need to know, and it actually is looking pretty good. So here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to put everything that we kind of got going on in a multitude of places so you can find us wherever you need us, when you need us. That includes WAFB Plus. Places like Amazon Fire TV, Roku TV, Apple TV. This is the lineup that you kind of see that we got right now. But also, even beyond these kinds of shows that have those dedicated times, we'll be putting some other important information for you. For instance, as mentioned, the governor's press conference today at 2:30. We're going to put it in all these places. You can also find us on YouTube as well. We're going to make sure that you are able to get to that information. And again, if anything big comes out of the governor's press conference, and there always is something, we'll take the big pieces and bring it to you on later editions of 9 News. The next edition of 9 News, obviously 9 News at noon. Scotty Hunter going to be along with you. Until then, we'll be updating WAFB.com and the 9 News app. So many ways to stay informed. Y'all be safe out there. We'll see you again in a little bit.